There is no point in fighting the pendulum. Fighting a pendulum means giving it your energy. The first and most important condition for a successful fight with the pendulum is the refusal to fight it. First, the more actively you fight the annoying pendulums, the more actively they will press. You can repeat endlessly, "Yes, leave me alone. Leave me alone." You think you are fighting them, but in reality, you are feeding the pendulums with your energy, and they stick to you even more. Second, you have no right to condemn or change anything in this world. You have to accept everything as exhibits in a museum, whether you like them or not. There may be many exhibits in a museum that you may not like. However, it does not occur to you to demand that they be removed from there. Once you have recognized the pendulum's right to exist, you have the right to walk away from it, not to succumb to its influence. But the main thing is not to fight with it, not to condemn, not to get angry, not to lose your temper, because all this will mean your participation in its game. On the contrary, you must calmly accept it as a given, as an inevitable evil, and then let it go. By showing rejection in any form, you're giving energy to the pendulum. Before you discover what it means to choose, you must learn to reject. People tend to be vague about what they want, but everyone knows exactly what they don't want. In an effort to get rid of unwanted things or events, many do the opposite. To refuse, you must accept. The word accept here means not to let in, but to recognize the right to exist and pass by with indifference. To accept and let go means to pass through oneself and say goodbye with a feather. On the contrary, to accept and leave is to let in and then cling or resist. Whether you love or hate something doesn't matter. The main thing is that if your thoughts are fixed on the object of your feelings, the energy of the thoughts is fixed at a certain frequency. So you are caught by the pendulum and transferred to the corresponding lifelines, where the object of fixation is present in abundance. If you don't want to have something, just don't think about it, pass by indifferently, and it will disappear from your life. Discarding life means not avoiding, but ignoring. Avoiding it is allowing it into your life, but actively trying to get rid of it. Ignoring means not reacting in any way and therefore not having. Imagine that you are a radio receiver. Every day you wake up and listen to the radio station you hate, the world around you. Tune in to another frequency. It may seem to you that by installing an iron curtain between yourself and the world, you will save yourself from unwanted pendulums. This is nothing more than an illusion. Being in an iron shell, you say to yourself, "I am a blank wall. I see nothing, I hear nothing, I know nothing, I will not tell anyone. I have no access." To maintain such a protective field, you need to expend a lot of energy. A person who deliberately tries to isolate themselves from the world is constantly in tension. In addition, the energy of the protective field tunes into the frequency of the pendulum, against which the defense is directed. And this is exactly what the pendulum needs. It doesn't care how you give it energy, with or without desire. So what is the protection against the pendulum? Emptiness. If I'm empty, I have nothing to hook onto. I don't play the pendulum's game, but I also don't try to defend myself against it. I just ignore it. The pendulum's energy flies by without touching me and spreads out into space. The pendulum doesn't bother me, it doesn't touch me. In relation to it, I am empty. The pendulum's main task is to attract as many followers as possible and get energy from them. If you ignore the pendulum, it will leave you alone and move on to others, because it only acts on those who accept its game. That is, who start radiating at its frequency. The hardest example, you were followed by a barking dog. If you turn around, it will bark even louder. If you take it seriously and start fighting with it, it will run after you for a long time, because its goal is to find someone to fight with. But if you ignore it, it will move on to another object. And note, it would not even think to take offense at you for not paying attention to it. It is too absorbed in its goal of gaining energy to think about anything else. If you replace the dog with a quarrelsome person, this model will work exactly the same. In a school, in elementary school, there was a boy who loved to bully everyone. They responded to him, some with words, others with deeds, and in any case, he enjoyed it. He literally caught everyone, and no one knew how to get rid of him. But surprisingly, there was one girl in the class whom he did not touch. No, he did not like her, but she did not hurt him either. The teacher could not understand why. It turned out that the girl simply did not pay attention to the bully. For her, he simply did not exist. Other children always responded appropriately to his antics, responded to provocations, that is, radiated energy at the frequency of the pendulum. So without knowing it, the children became followers of this provocateur, and he bathed in their energy. The adherents in this case are not admirers. A pendulum doesn't care whether you love it or not. The main thing is that they give it energy. If someone bothers you, try the model of a destructive pendulum on them. It will surely suit them. If you can't afford it, just don't respond to provocations. Ignore them. They won't leave you alone until you stop giving them your energy. You can give them energy both directly, by getting into an argument with them, and indirectly by silently hating them. Stopping giving energy means not thinking about it at all, throwing it out of your head. Tell yourself, yes, the dog is with them, and they will leave your life. However, it often happens that it is impossible to simply ignore the pendulum. For example, your boss calls you on the carpet. Simple rejection or protection would mean a loss of energy, as both are struggles with the pendulum. In such cases, you can pretend that you are entering into a pendulum game. The main thing is that you are aware that you are entering the game for fun. Imagine how a burly guy throws a sledgehammer at you and hits you with all his might. You don't care, you don't defend or attack. At this moment, you simply calmly step aside, and the guy, along with the sledgehammer, flies into the void. This means that the pendulum cannot catch him and he falls. This principle lies at the heart of Aikido fighting. There literally the following happens. The attacker is taken by the arm, walked with him as if seeing him off, and then easily released and sent flying in the direction his energy was heading. The whole secret is that the defender has nothing against the attack. He agrees with the attacker's line, walks with him for a while and then lets him go. The attacker's energy falls into a vacuum, because if the defender is empty, then there is nothing to hook onto. The technique of such a smooth retreat is that it accepts the first push of the pendulum and then diplomatically steps back or discreetly directs the movement in the desired direction. For example, a flustered boss wants to put work on you and forcefully demands that it be done exactly as he or she thinks. You know that it needs to be done differently, or in general it is not your responsibility. If you start to object, argue, defend yourself, he will demand obedience in a harsh manner. After all, he made a decision and you are going against him. Do the opposite. Listen carefully, agree with everything, let the first impulse dry up, and then, calmly, start discussing the details of the job with him. For the moment, you have accepted the boss's energy and are radiating at his frequency. His impulse, meeting no resistance, gets stuck for a while. Don't tell him that you know better how to do this job. Don't refuse and don't argue. You are simply asking your boss for advice on how you can do the job faster and better, or perhaps someone else can do it better. You swing with the pendulum, but you do it consciously, not participating in the game, but as if watching from the side. He swings, completely immersed in the game. This is his game. He makes a decision and they agree and consult with him. You will see that the energy previously directed at you will go to one side, in the direction of another decision or another executor. Therefore, the pendulum will fail for you personally. You just have to be careful when applying this technique to individuals, so as not to descend into the usual pettiness.